she huffed, and took her seat before going on to make quick work of reorganizing her papers and checking her books in the case someone also thought to mess with them as well. To her relief, they were all, thankfully, untouched. She decided to just chalk all of it up to either a gust of air or careless individuals passing by her table. So after turning her phone off, she got back to work on citing resources and noting even more descriptive battle strategies from World War II as an example. From an outsider's perspective, it certainly would have looked like she was in her own little world, just scribbling down notes and flipping pages in old and slightly unused books pertaining to war and chipping away at her hot chocolate and blueberry muffin gradually over time in contentedness. It had already been several hours that she never pulled her gaze away from her work. And when she did, it was due to a very loud and startling crash somewhere in the library. She jerked in her seat, blinking rapidly, and peered around at the now empty library. All was silent and eerily still, and strangely enough, the once brightly shining lights of the welcoming library had, in fact, took on a creepy and dim glow, as though the lights were cranked to scary movie lighting on the verge of shutting off completely and shrouding everything into abyssal darkness. Shocked, she whipped her head around and looked out the window. There were tones of dark blue and teal green in the sky, and she hurriedly turned her phone on to look at the time. It was 5:55 p.m., and the library was definitely due to closing in the next 5 minutes. She quickly gathered her books and began sorting them back to the shelves they belonged. She had just put 4 books away with the exception of 2, and as she was making her way to their designated places, she thought to check the front desk for the nice old librarian, as there was no other person she had seen thus far. But upon reaching the front desk, another portion of the library that had computers nearby, she found there was indeed no one else. She decided then and there to finish putting the last books away and just leave the library quickly. She fast-walked back to the history section and scanned the spines and labels quickly on the shelf, and she stopped in front of a book-sized gap between the shelved books and took one of the books in her hands to place it. She then jumped and whirled around at the sudden cold wind that passed by her.